I spent 3 weeks tracking down why a park ranger risked his career to send me a deleted video that millions laughed at as the worst Bigfoot hoax ever made. What he told me about the hiker who went missing that same night and was found alive 6 days later, 40 miles away with a broken ankle, changed everything I thought I knew about what's in those woods. But here's what keeps me up at night. If that massive figure really was carrying Marcus Chen through the forest at 4 a.m., was it taking him somewhere safe, or was it taking him to feed? I need you to watch something. It's only 8 seconds long. The footage is grainy and dark, shot by a trail camera in the middle of the night. You can see trees, shadows, and then this massive shape moving through the frame. It's tall, way taller than any person should be, and it's carrying something. Something that looks like a body, a human body draped over its shoulder. The clip cuts off before you can see where it's going. When this video first appeared online back in October 2019, people laughed. They called it the worst fake Bigfoot video they'd ever seen. The comments were brutal. One person wrote that their kid could make better special effects. Another said it was obviously just a guy in a gorilla suit carrying a mannequin. Within days, it became a meme. People made jokes. They edited it with funny music. They added fake commentary. Everyone agreed it was trash. Just another hoax trying to get attention on the internet. But here's the thing. Last month, a missing person case connected to that exact area was quietly closed. No news coverage, no press release, just a file stamped and sealed. And when I started digging into what really happened that October, I found something that made my hands shake. This video that everyone laughed at might be the most important piece of footage ever captured. If you want to know what's really out there in those woods, hit that like button and subscribe. You're going to want to follow this story, trust me. The video came from a trail camera in Northern California. The property owner who posted it never gave his real name. He used a throwaway account. All he said was that he checked his camera on October 13th and found this clip from early that morning. The timestamp on the video reads 4:47 a.m. It's that dead hour when even the animals are quiet, when the world feels frozen. The camera was motion activated. Something big enough and warm enough triggered the sensor. For 8 seconds, it recorded. In those 8 seconds, you see it, a figure at least 7 feet tall, maybe taller, covered in dark hair, moving through the trees with long, heavy steps. Its arms are thick. Its shoulders are wider than any human's. And across those shoulders, draped like a sack of grain, is something wearing clothes. You can see fabric. You can see what looks like a jacket, yellow or light-colored. The figure doesn't run. It walks steady, like it knows exactly where it's going. Like it's done this before. Then the clip ends. Darkness again. The property owner posted the video to 3 different sites: Reddit, YouTube, a Bigfoot forum. Within hours, the comments came flooding in. People picked it apart frame by frame. They said the figure moved wrong. They said the proportions were off. They said you could see a zipper on the costume if you looked close enough. Experts, or people who claimed to be experts, posted long breakdowns explaining why it was fake. One guy said the gait was too smooth. Another said real Bigfoot wouldn't carry anything. A special effects artist said she could recreate the whole thing in her garage with a Halloween costume and a CPR dummy. The video got thousands of views, but 0 believers. It became a joke, a punchline, the worst attempt at Bigfoot evidence in years. People shared it just to laugh at it. And then something strange happened. 72 hours after it was posted, the video started disappearing. The Reddit post was removed. The YouTube upload was taken down for violating community guidelines, even though it didn't show anything violent or graphic. The forum thread was locked and then deleted. The property owner's account went silent. Every repost that popped up got flagged and removed within hours. By the end of that week, you couldn't find the original video anywhere. A few people had saved copies, but those mostly vanished too. It was like someone wanted it erased. At the time, people said it was just the internet doing its thing. Fake videos get taken down all the time. Nobody thought much of it. The joke had run its course anyway. Everyone moved on to the next viral thing. But I kept thinking about it. Something felt wrong. Videos go viral and stay viral. Even the fake ones, even the stupid ones. They live forever in some corner of the internet, but this one was scrubbed clean. That doesn't happen by accident. So I started looking into the area where the camera was placed. Northern California, deep forest, not close to any major towns, the kind of place where cell service cuts out and the roads turn to dirt. And that's when I found it. In the same week that video was recorded, 3 hikers went missing in that region. 3 separate incidents, all within a 20-mile radius of where that trail camera was mounted. The first one was reported on October 10th, the second on October 11th. The third, a guy named Marcus Chen, was reported missing on October 12th. His last known location was a campsite about 3 miles from the trail camera. His last text message to his girlfriend was sent at 11 p.m. He wrote that he heard something big moving near his tent. He said he was going to check it out. That was the last anyone heard from him. When search teams found his campsite the next day, his gear was torn apart. His backpack was ripped open. Food was scattered. But there was no blood, no signs of a bear attack or mountain lion, just destruction. And Marcus was gone. The video was captured at 4:47 a.m. on October 13th, less than 6 hours after Marcus sent that text. Less than 6 hours after he walked into the dark to see what was making noise. Nobody connected these things. The video was already being called a hoax. The missing person case was treated as a separate issue. A tragic hiking accident, the kind of thing that happens when people go into the wilderness unprepared. But when you put them side by side, when you look at the dates and the locations and the timeline, something clicks into place. That yellow jacket in the video, the thing being carried over that creature's shoulder. Marcus Chen was wearing a yellow rain jacket when he disappeared. Marcus Chen was 28 years old when he disappeared. He wasn't some rookie who wandered into the woods without knowing what he was doing. He'd been hiking the Pacific Crest Trail for 2 months. He knew how to read maps. He knew how to set up camp in the rain. He knew what to do if he saw a bear. His girlfriend said he was careful, maybe too careful. He always sent her his location before he lost cell service. He always texted her good night. On October 11th, he sent his usual message. Everything's good. Beautiful spot tonight. Stars are incredible. Love you. The next night, October 12th, his text came at 11 p.m. It was different, short, heard something big moving. Going to check. That was it. She waited for another message. An hour passed, then 2. She told herself he probably fell asleep. Service was bad out there. He'd text in the morning. But morning came and there was nothing. By noon on the 13th, she called the ranger station. They told her to wait 24 hours. People lose service all the time. By the afternoon of the 14th, when he still hadn't checked in, she drove to the ranger station herself and filed a missing person report. They took it seriously. Marcus had a solid track record. He wasn't the type to go off trail without telling anyone. The search started that same day. A small team hiked out to his last known location based on the coordinates he'd sent his girlfriend. They found his campsite 2 hours before sunset. The tent was still standing, but the door was wide open. Inside, his sleeping bag was half unzipped. His phone was on the ground near his pillow, battery dead. Outside, the scene was worse. His backpack had been torn apart, not cut with a knife, torn. The fabric was ripped in jagged lines like something had grabbed it with force and pulled. His food bag was on the ground 20 feet away, shredded. Granola bars, trail mix, jerky, all scattered in the dirt. Some of it looked like it had been eaten. But here's what made the lead ranger stop and radio for more help. There was no blood, none. If a bear had come into camp, there would be blood. If a mountain lion had attacked, there would be drag marks and blood. If Marcus had fought off an animal, there would be some sign of it. But the campsite just looked ransacked, destroyed, like something had been looking for something or someone and didn't care what got broken in the process. They called in more teams. By the morning of October 15th, there were 30 people searching, dogs with handlers, a helicopter doing sweeps over the forest, volunteers from nearby towns who knew the area. The dogs picked up Marcus's scent right away. They followed it east from the campsite, noses to the ground, pulling their handlers forward. The trail led downhill through thick trees and over fallen logs. It was rough terrain, hard to move through quickly. After about a mile, the dogs reached a creek. The water was shallow, maybe a foot deep, running fast over smooth rocks. The dogs went right up to the edge and then stopped. They circled, they whined, they sniffed the air and the ground, but wouldn't cross. The handlers waded through trying to pick up the scent on the other side. Nothing. It was like Marcus had vanished into thin air right at that water's edge. One of the handlers said it was the strangest thing he'd seen in 15 years of search and rescue. Scent doesn't just disappear like that unless someone knows what they're doing. The team spread out. They searched in grids, calling Marcus's name, looking for any sign. Clothing, gear, footprints, anything. On the second day of the search, October 16th, one of the volunteers found something near the creek bank. He was walking slowly, eyes on the ground, when he saw it. A print in the mud. But it wasn't a boot print, it was huge. The volunteer called the lead ranger over. They both stood there looking at it. The print was at least 18 inches long, maybe more. It had 5 clear toe impressions at the front. The heel was deep, like whatever made it was heavy, very heavy. The ranger took photos with his phone. He measured it with a stick and then his own boot for comparison. His boot was a size 11. The print made his boot look like a child's shoe. He radioed it in, told them to send someone from Wildlife Services. They needed to know what kind of animal they were dealing with. But when the wildlife officer arrived 2 hours later, the ranger couldn't find his phone. He checked his pockets, his pack, the truck. It was gone. He swore he had had it clipped to his belt. The photos were gone with it. The print itself was still there, but by then the sun had moved and the mud was drying, and it didn't look as clear. The wildlife officer took her own photos, but said it was hard to tell what made it. Could be a bear print distorted by the mud. Could be someone playing a prank. She didn't sound convinced by her own words. The search went on for 5 days total. They covered over 50 square miles. They brought in thermal imaging from the helicopter at night. They checked every trail, every campsite, every known cave in the area. They found nothing. No body, no clothes, no more tracks. On October 18th, the search was scaled back. They left posters at trailheads and kept a few rangers doing sweeps, but the big operation was over. Marcus's girlfriend was devastated. His parents flew in from Oregon and walked the trails themselves, calling his name until their voices gave out. The official statement from the Park Service was that Marcus Chen had likely gotten lost, possibly injured, and that they would continue to monitor the area. It was the kind of thing they say when they don't have answers, when they need to close a case that has no ending. What they didn't say, what nobody outside the search teams knew, was that the timeline was impossible. Marcus sent that text at 11 p.m. on October 12th. The trail camera captured that footage at 4:47 a.m. on October 13th. That's less than 6 hours. In those 6 hours, something had torn apart his camp, and something had been recorded on camera 3.2 miles away carrying what looked like a body in a yellow jacket. Marcus's yellow jacket, the same one his girlfriend described to the rangers. The one he never took off because it was his favorite. Nobody connected these dots publicly. The video was already being mocked as fake. The search was treated as a separate tragedy. But I found the distance between that campsite and that trail camera. 3.2 miles through rough forest. At night, something had covered that distance in under 6 hours while carrying a full-grown man. For 3 weeks, I tried to find out what really happened to Marcus Chen. I sent emails to the Park Service. I called the ranger station. I reached out to volunteers who'd been on the search. Most people didn't respond. The ones who did gave me the same line. Missing hiker. Tragic situation. Case closed. Then my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. The voice on the other end was distorted, run through some kind of program that made it sound robotic and flat. But I could tell it was a man. Middle-aged maybe, tired. He said he was a park ranger. He said he'd been part of the search for Marcus. And he said he needed to tell me something before he lost his nerve. I'm recording this conversation, I told him. He said that was fine. He said he wanted someone to have the truth on record. What he told me next changed everything. Marcus Chen didn't die in those woods. 6 days after he disappeared on October 19th, a group of hikers found him. He was 40 miles from his original campsite. 40 miles. That's not a distance you cover by accident when you're lost. The hikers spotted him sitting against a tree near a fire road, wrapped in what looked like a torn tent. He was barely conscious. His lips were cracked. His face was sunburned. When the paramedics arrived, they found he had a broken ankle. The bone had snapped clean, probably in the first day or two. He was severely dehydrated. He'd lost weight. But there was something strange. He had no animal bites, no scratches from claws, no defensive wounds on his hands or arms. For someone who'd been alone in the wilderness for 6 days with a broken ankle, he looked too good, too whole. The ranger's voice got quieter when he told me this part. He said the official story released to the press was simple. Marcus got lost. He made a shelter. He stayed calm and rationed what little food he had. When his ankle healed enough, he crawled toward the road until the hikers found him. A survival story, a miracle. Everyone was happy. His family was relieved. The Park Service looked good. Case closed. But that's not what Marcus said when they first brought him in. The ranger told me that Marcus was taken to a hospital about an hour from the forest. He was checked over by doctors, treated for dehydration, given pain medication for his ankle. His family was called and they rushed to be with him. But in those first few hours before his parents and girlfriend arrived, Marcus talked. He talked to the paramedics in the ambulance. He talked to the nurses. He talked to the ranger who rode with him to make sure he was okay. And what he said didn't match the official story at all. Marcus said he remembered leaving his tent that night. He remembered hearing something big moving outside, something that didn't sound like a bear or a deer. He walked into the trees with his flashlight. He only meant to go a few feet, just to see. Then he stepped wrong. His foot went into a hole hidden by leaves and his ankle snapped. He said the pain was so bad he almost passed out. He tried to crawl back to his tent, but he couldn't tell which direction it was. He was crying and yelling for help, and then he heard it. Footsteps. Heavy, slow. Coming toward him through the dark. He said he thought he was going to die. He thought a bear had smelled him and was coming to finish him off. But then he felt hands, not paws, hands. Huge hands that slid under his back and legs and lifted him up like he weighed nothing. He said he tried to fight, he tried to scream. But the pain in his ankle made him dizzy and the world went black. When he woke up, he didn't know how much time had passed. He was on the ground near a fire, not a campfire he'd made, a real fire, burning steady, and he was wrapped in his own tent. Someone had pulled it down and wrapped it around him like a blanket. His broken ankle was propped up on a pile of soft leaves. He looked around and saw trees, rocks. The sky was getting light. Morning maybe. And then he saw it, a shape sitting across the fire from him, tall even when sitting, covered in dark hair, watching him. Marcus said he didn't move, didn't breathe. He just stared, and the thing stared back. It didn't come closer. It didn't make a sound. It just sat there like it was keeping watch, like it was making sure he didn't die in the night. After a while, the thing stood up and walked away into the trees. Marcus said he heard it moving for a long time, branches snapping, heavy footsteps fading, then silence. He stayed by that fire until it burned out. He didn't know what else to do. That's what Marcus told them in the hospital. But when his family arrived, the ranger said the doctors pulled him aside. They said Marcus had been through trauma. He was confused, dehydrated, in pain. People hallucinate in those conditions. They see things that aren't there. The ranger was told to write up the report a certain way. Stick to the facts. Lost hiker, shelter, rescue. Don't include the part about being carried. Don't mention the fire he didn't make. And definitely don't mention the creature. The ranger said there was more. A few weeks after Marcus was released from the hospital, he was asked to come in for a follow-up. They wanted to make sure he was okay mentally. They do that sometimes with trauma cases. During one of those sessions, a psychologist showed Marcus some photos, pictures of animal tracks, bear prints, mountain lion prints, and then, almost like a test, they showed him a still frame from the trail camera video, the one that had been all over the internet and then deleted. The ranger said he wasn't supposed to know about this, but one of the office staff told him. When Marcus saw that image, he went completely silent. His face went white. The psychologist asked if he recognized it. Marcus stared at the screen for a long time. Then he said 7 words. That's the night I heard the breathing. He wouldn't say anything else after that. He got up and left the building. He refused all follow-up appointments. His family moved him out of state within a month. He won't return calls. He won't do interviews. It's like he wants to forget the whole thing ever happened. The ranger told me the video suppression wasn't random. It wasn't the internet cleaning up fake content. It was deliberate. Someone high up didn't want people asking questions, didn't want anyone connecting that footage to Marcus's case. Because if people started looking close, they'd see things that didn't add up. They'd ask why a lost hiker ended up 40 miles away. They'd ask how someone with a broken ankle survived 6 days and came out looking relatively fine. They'd ask what made that fire. The ranger said this wasn't the first time either. He's been working in those forests for almost 20 years. There are stories buried in old files, reports that got rewritten, incidents that got explained away, people found in places they shouldn't be, tracks that don't match any known animal, strange sounds recorded and then dismissed. It's all there if you know where to look, but nobody wants to look. Because looking means admitting something is out there that we don't understand, something that doesn't fit into the neat categories we use to make sense of the world. I went back to the video after that call. I still had a copy saved on an old hard drive. I slowed it down frame by frame. When you watch it at normal speed, it's just a blur. But when you slow it down, you see details. The figure's stride length is massive. Each step covers at least 6 feet. A human in a costume can't do that. The proportions are wrong for a person. The arms hang too low. The shoulders are too wide. And then there's the yellow jacket. When you zoom in on the thing being carried, you can see it clearly. Bright yellow fabric, hood hanging down, exactly like the one Marcus's girlfriend described, the one Marcus was wearing when he sent that last text. The timestamp on the video is 4:47 a.m., October 13th. Marcus was found on October 19th. That's 6 days later. 40 miles away. The math lines up perfectly with someone or something carrying him through the forest that night, moving him somewhere safe, keeping him alive until he could be found. The video everyone laughed at wasn't a hoax. It was evidence, and someone wanted it buried. So what does all of this mean? Think about it for a second. Marcus Chen went into the woods alone. He broke his ankle in the dark. He was hurt and scared and couldn't move. And something found him. Something that could have killed him easily. Something that could have dragged him off and nobody would have ever known what happened. But that's not what it did. It picked him up. It carried him. It made him a fire. It wrapped him in his own tent to keep him warm. It stayed with him through the night to make sure he didn't die. That's not an attack. That's a rescue. And if it happened to Marcus, how many other times has it happened? How many people have been found in places they shouldn't be and couldn't explain how they got there? How many missing person cases got closed with stories that don't quite add up? I started looking into other incidents after my conversation with the ranger. I went through old news reports, forum posts, police records that are public, and I found patterns. In 2015, a woman in Oregon disappeared while camping. She was found 4 days later, 12 miles from her campsite. She said she didn't remember walking that far. She had a head injury from a fall. No explanation for how she survived. In 2017, a teenager in Washington went missing on a hunting trip. Found 5 days later near a logging road. He said something big had been following him through the trees but never came close. He made it out alive. In 2012, an older man with dementia wandered away from his family during a hike in Northern California. Everyone thought he was dead. They found him a week later, sitting by a stream, confused but okay. He had no gear, no food, no way to have survived that long alone. The official reports all say the same kinds of things. Lucky, resilient, miracle. But when you line them up next to blurry videos that got posted and deleted, when you check the locations and the dates, things start to click. There are at least 6 other trail camera videos from the last 10 years that show large figures in the woods. Figures that don't move like bears. Figures that are too tall to be human. Every single one of those videos was posted online and then mocked, called fake, called garbage. And every single one of them came from areas where someone went missing and was later found alive in strange circumstances. That's not a coincidence. I tried to reach out to Marcus one more time after I learned all of this. I found an email address through a friend of a friend. I sent him a message explaining what I discovered. I told him I wasn't trying to make him relive trauma. I just wanted to know the truth. He responded 3 days later. It was short, only a few lines, but one sentence stood out. He wrote, "It put me down gently like it knew I was hurt, then it just watched me from the trees until morning." That sentence has stayed with me. It plays in my head when I'm trying to sleep. Because it means something was careful with him. Something understood that he needed help. Something made a choice to save his life instead of end it. And that changes everything we think we know about what's out there. Marcus ended his email by asking me not to contact him again. He said he's trying to move on. He said talking about it makes it real again, and he can't handle that. I respected his wishes, but I can't stop thinking about what he said, about being put down gently, about being watched over, about something in the dark deciding he deserved to live. The Park Service still denies all of this. I reached out for an official comment. They sent me a one-paragraph response. It said that trail cameras often capture unclear footage that gets misinterpreted. It said Marcus Chen's case was resolved and his privacy should be respected. It said there is no evidence of unknown animals in their forests. They didn't address the video. They didn't address the timeline. They didn't address the 40-mile distance or the broken ankle or the fire Marcus didn't make. They just shut it down. The original person who posted the trail camera video is gone. I tried to track him down. The account was deleted. The email address bounced back. I contacted the platform where it was first uploaded and asked if they had any information. They said the account was removed for violating terms of service, but they couldn't share details. It's like he never existed, or like someone made sure he couldn't be found. And that video, the one everyone laughed at, the one that got scrubbed from the internet, it's not supposed to exist anymore. But I have it. I'm showing it to you right now. And I'm telling you it's real. Not because I want clicks or likes or attention, but because the truth matters. Because Marcus is alive today, because something out there decided to help him. And if we keep mocking every piece of evidence, if we keep laughing at every video, if we keep letting people bury the stories that don't fit, we'll never understand what's really happening in those forests. So here's what I want you to think about. The next time you see a blurry Bigfoot video online, the next time people flood the comments calling it fake, ask yourself this. What if they're not laughing because it's fake? What if they're laughing because someone needs you to think it is? What if the joke is the cover? What if mockery is how we stop ourselves from asking the questions that matter? I'm going to show you one more thing before we end this. I enhanced the trail camera footage as much as I could. I used every tool I have. And in one single frame, if you zoom in close on the figure's face, you can see something. The trail camera has a flash. It fires when it detects motion. And in that flash, for just a split second, you can see eyes. Not animal eyes that glow, not empty black holes, eyes that reflect light like a person's would, eyes that look directly at the camera, like it knows it's being watched, like it's aware. I'll put that frame on screen right now so you can see it yourself. Look close. Look at the shape of the face, the width of the shoulders, the way its hand is positioned on the body it's carrying, gentle, protective. That's not a monster. That's not something mindless. That's something that understands what it's doing, something that chose to save a life. And it's out there right now. If this story got to you, if you want to see more videos they don't want leaked, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment and tell me what you think. Do you believe Marcus? Do you think there are others like him who survived because of something we refuse to believe exists? I'll keep digging. I'll keep finding the truth. But I need you with me. Because the more of us who know, the harder it is to keep buried. Thanks for watching. And remember, the woods are deeper than you think.